All right. Episode 231. Here we are. And Bobby's saying, "Where's Gotti? Here I am." Is it just me going solo again? Nah, we got Jason right there. There he is. Everybody got scared for a second. They're like, oh, not another episode of Just Gotti.
How we doing?
What is going on?
Trying to work on my I gotta work on my volume here a little bit.
What do you got set up there?
What's
phone?
that?
Is that your phone?
Yeah, I'm trying to check my volume. I think I'm maxed out.
Can't hear me?
I can hear you, just not very well.
Where's your Apple earbuds? Your AirPods? Do you have those? See, Jason can't hear me. Now Jason definitely can't hear me. What's going on, Jason? Get your phone in order, bro.
I'm doing good. I'm just trying to somehow get the volume to go a little higher here so I can hear you.
Looks like it's just going to be a show with me then. All right, Jason's going to go try something. All right, go ahead. I can't hear you. This is going well. GeoTracker gang, that's right. Bobby, have you found me a GeoTracker? Mike Sanders says, why are fuzz bites so good? They just are. I'll answer all these questions for you. J Concepts. RC Kevin, what's up, buddy? Says he still has a 3-hour drive. Where are you going, Kevin? Is no prep drive. Well, we'll hit all these with Jason if he gets his volume situation straightened out. Look at that chair, Jason, man. All leather chair there. Bobby says, I wouldn't want the trackers from Iowa. Rode hard and put away rusty as fuck. I found your... Oh, Pete's saying he found...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good. Can you hear me? Jason can't hear me. I could hear you. You can't hear me. Epic failure, Jason. Epic failure. How about if I just put the questions up on the screen and Jason answers them? How's that? I can hear Allison. Use cue cards. Pete, you found me several geo-trackers? Please tell. Pete's saying use cue cards. How about you just call into the show then, Jason? RC Kevin's visiting clients on his way home. Okay. And we will remove Jason from... Let me try this, Jason. Nothing? I could hear you perfectly. Two guys, one live stream. Oof, that's bad. I just texted you, Jason. Ah, you can't hear me. I could hear you. Let me write this down. Wait a minute. Let's see. Ah, Jason took himself off stream, so it is just me. Let's see. Jason, check your Windows audio setting. He's on his phone, so I don't know what he's doing wrong. Should be pretty easy, actually. I would think. I mean, we can hear him. Let's see what he tries. I should have that music that's the waiting music, like at the movie theater when they take an intermission. Bobby Lang says just Apple things. Yeah, Pete, I know. We heard Jason fine. That's why I text him. Don't know why he can't hear us. See, you still have problems with even though you're 231 episodes in. His audio settings from StreamYard must be off. So, like, it's something he has to do because I was looking on my end and everything seemed to be fine. He's going to try it again. I can hear you fine. Read that comment right there. I think we had the same problem when we had Larry Tom on the show. He couldn't hear us. Here we go. RC Kevin's going to help you out. So just read this. Read. Nothing. Nothing. Hello? Hello? I could hear Jazzy. So this is what we can do. We can communicate with him by chatting. Oh, man. This might actually be the best episode ever. If we get everybody to just. So, Jason, we have some questions here. Here you go. There you go, right there. And he took himself off. This is great. Well, if anybody would like to join the show, just message me for the link. Here, I'll post the link in here. Cue cards. Yeah, I don't know, Kevin. I'll message that to him, but I never did it through the phone, so it's new to me. I just text him. So let's see. How's this work? StreamYard. Yeah, I remember we had Larry Tom on the show. He had the same issue, but weren't able to figure it out, so we had to call him. Houston getting a 1/10. They said they won't allow saucing. Oh. All right, let me call Jason. I will be right back.
Check 1, 2.
Yo, can you hear me? Is that better? There we go. Are we set now?
Yeah, it'd be
Sweet.
nice if it was, if I could hear you a little more would be better.
All right. Well, all you got to do is read the questions off the screen. That's all you had to do. We were just going to pop up the questions and then you answer them. It's been perfect. All right. Well,
let me close my door here so I can hear a little better.
Yeah, that's fine. We hear Jason's. Who cares, right? You hear Jazzy barking. You hear Allison doing the dishes. Now they're saying they can't hear me, but I don't know. Is that true? You can still hear me, right, Jason?
I can.
Okay. All right. What about everybody else? RC Kevin's saying yay, so.
It's just so strange because last time I did this, the audio was really good.
Well, you got a new phone, right? New iPhone 13, so maybe we just don't have the adjustments.
We can. I'm pretty sure I used my headset the last time we did this.
Yeah, you did. You did it from your phone last time at home?
I think so.
Oh, I thought you had it set up on a webcam.
So what I was trying to do is just turn on the headphones and make it work, and both times when I tested it in the app, everything was fine.
Oh. Well, there you go.
I could try the app. I could try my headphones again.
Yeah, try them out. See what happens. How about that? Now you're cutting out or something, right? Hello. I can hear you, or I can't hear you. You can hear me now. I can't hear you at all. Now that might be an audio setting when you put your headset on, right, Kevin?
How about now?
Now I can hear you. There you go.
All right.
Perfect.
There we go.
Whew, that only took 20 minutes. 23 minutes.
Well, it's time to sign off.
All right. Well, that was episode 231. We appreciate everybody joining us. Thanks for all the questions. Jason will get to them on the next episode.
Fixing all my wrinkled up posters in here of stuff that I still haven't set up my office here at home, so I'm still like, it's a little messy in here.
Yeah. Is that in the background? You got a basketball there in a frame. Is that a Kobe Bryant autographed?
It's
basketball?
actually Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, dude.
My mom was working in Orlando.
Oh.
And
So we're going way back when he was in Orlando.
Well, no, I think at this point he was on the Lakers, or actually he was on the Heat, and he was doing a real estate course in Orlando, and he was going in and out of the same building every day. So people started bringing shit in for him to sign, and he just told people it had to be a certain basketball, and he would sign whatever it was, but it had to be like certain stuff for him to do it, and
really
had to be a Spalding, or you know what I mean. It had to be the right one.
Oh, so, look at this. Look at this. Bobby says that was from Big Baby when he slammed into Ernie's kid on the court. Remember that controversy?
That was big, man. That was national. I mean,
yeah,
it was kind of world news, really.
Yeah, made it ESPN, and I forget the guy that was ripping on Ernie. Was it Wilbon? Wilburn? Or Wilbon?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, Wilbon. He was like, hey, look, you sit courtside. You got to expect, he was just, going nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that was big. That was big news.
So that's pretty cool. Does it say to Jason from Shaq, or is it?
No, it's just a simple Shaq autograph.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, it's of course it's not what's his name?
But... What's his name? Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You mean LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron.
Dude, Lakers are horrible.
Your Lakers are a mess, dude.
They're a mess. It's just too old, and then they got too many guys that want the ball.
Yep.
Just crazy.
Big Baby. I haven't seen any photos of, he says Ernie's son, but I haven't seen him for years. You used
Nick.
to see him. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about him in years.
Yeah, he hasn't been. I used to play online. He used to play online with him on the PlayStation, and I haven't seen him log on. Like you said, years.
Yeah, maybe he's went into upper management.
Yeah, maybe taking over.
I'm looking at all my posters here.
Working behind the scenes. Wait, what do you got there?
Courtside. It's a scratch-off chart of professional basketball arenas. So,
what?
Yeah, I think Allison got me this for one of the holidays, but this is like each one of the arenas in the NBA look like from the top down.
Yeah. What's the scratch off mean?
That part, I don't know. My guess is that means that you can check it off that you've been there. That's my guess.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. That's pretty cool.
I bumped into this. I think we got this on. Oh, no. This way. This was when the Magic opened their new building.
Oh, wow.
It was some kind of painting. It was kind of a...
What's it say there? Amway Center.
Yeah, opening night, October 28th, 2010. So
wow.
This is already The arena's already 11 years old. They're gonna be ready to
Yeah.
push it over and build a new one soon.
Yeah. They
Blow
get
it up.
outdated.
Yeah, blow it up.
Blow it up, put a new one.
Yeah, it's only a couple. It's only $1 billion now for a new arena, something like that, right?
Yeah, they were talking. I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast, and he was talking about the SoFi Stadium that the Chargers and the Rams play in. And
Okay.
I forget the exact amount, but it was in the billions. It's the most
Hmm.
expensive stadium. And
In the NFL, it's the most expensive.
yeah, and he was just trying to figure out like how are these things costing like $50 billion to make? You know,
Hmm.
it's insane.
Well, he sold his company for 200 something million, so he didn't obviously question that.
That's a good point. Yeah, the ringer to Spotify.
Hmm.
Man, those guys make out
Yeah,
pretty
he
much.
got in early. He worked for the right companies. He had the right contacts, and
Yeah, that's what it was. I love his podcast. I always listen to him, but
yeah,
definitely had connections.
yeah. It's funny because it's like, everybody questions these costs except for when it's theirs.
All right, well, you bring up good points all the time. Yeah, it's funny because it's the latest episode. He's like questioning the cost of these stadiums. There you
Hmm.
go. There's a good one. How do you sell a
Yeah,
podcast for 200 million?
yeah. What is all that worth, Bill? It's just. I get it. But the difficult part is how fast these years go by. I think that the original Magic building, or they call it the Orlando Arena, I think it was built in 88 or 80, well, about 88, somewhere around there. And they didn't get a super long run out of it.
Yeah. Well, the Staples Centers is pretty old now too, but I remember when it was built, Ernie was telling me because he was living
Hmm.
out there at the time and going to the Laker games. He said that thing was pretty much trash then. It's like
Yeah, I went there. I,
it's
I
not
went there
really
with him.
impressive. It looks good on TV, he said, but when you're there, it's not so good.
Yeah, it was state of the art when they got it done there. That was around, I would say, 99, 2000. I
Yeah,
think it was 99, 2000.
yeah, it's
And
already 20 years old, dude.
yeah. And uh, I went there with Ernie, actually. Um, he invited me to a game. I think I went there for one game. I bought tickets to a game a couple times there.
Mhm.
Let me turn on a chat here so I can see that. Oh, that's not really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
It's not as nice as it is on the
Oh,
PC.
does it show it off to the right or something? Like,
No, it didn't do that. It's
oh,
kind of weird. Yeah, so I went there with Ernie, during those days, and I thought it was nice, but I could see, you get so many events. Plus, you're doubling up with the Clippers using it, and in
yeah,
LA,
yeah.
I'm sure it's taking a beating.
Oh, Jason, you didn't comment on my.
Oh, to be honest, I had no idea what that was
Oh,
because you were kind of covering it, and I'm
yeah.
just like, man,
There
what
we
kind
go.
of what kind of unique background does he have going here?
That's the new
I'm like,
J
oh, that's
concept. Actually, you know what? I went to put air in my tire the other day. I noticed I was missing two of them,
well,
so
there you go.
I I will
You're
need
gonna
those J
need those
concepts. What do you call them? Tire caps,
valve stem covers.
something like that. Yeah. So a Valstem cut. That was announced today. That was the big
That's
news
right.
in the RC. I heard about it. It was trending.
Yeah, it was way up there on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's we made a list of things we wanted to make about a year ago, um, and been kind of working our way down that list of some different
So,
accessories for wheel cars, and it's a little bit um, it's a little in left field to be in RC and then have some real automobile stuff, but it's just kind of what I kind of wanted to do. I just thought it'd be neat to have, and um, it's still not, that's not a big market for us. That's obviously going to be pretty tiny thing. Um,
Carl's
but
saying, I remember those dice we used to put on our bicycles. I had those too. I had white ones,
I think Kirby's got
white
those on
with
his bike,
white
doesn't
with
he?
red, I think, because I had a white and red bike. So,
Ah, okay.
I don't. Yeah, we
Mongoose?
should. I'm sure Kirby does. He's definitely gonna be bugging you for those to put on his
Oh, he
Toyota
already
Rav.
has.
Oh, okay.
He already
All
has.
right.
He
All
says he
right.
needs them for that and his bike.
Right.
Personally, I'd like to see him on the bike, I think.
Yeah. I'll just send him a bunch.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So, so how long was that in testing and development?
I don't know.
Did Mayfield test those for like 2 years?
No, I tested them on my truck.
Oh, get good fuel mileage out of those? A little
Oh,
bit
yeah,
more.
they could just cut right through the wind.
I was gonna say because of the way it's designed, it looks like it would cut that wind up,
Oh, yeah.
just
You're,
slice and dice through the air.
the other day I went from 17.2 miles to gallon to 17.3. So,
There you go. It speaks for itself.
I mean, I could have been going downhill both ways, but hey.
There's no hills in Florida. All right.
There is in Claremont, actually.
There's a hill.
There's hills here. Yeah. That's why
Wow.
that's why bicycle dudes come here and train, because we actually got hills in Florida and they love it here. Try out all these athletes come here. Come into my town.
Hmm. All right. We had spoke beads. Yep, I remember those. I didn't have those. Think think girls have those on their bikes. Where you
Baskets
put
in
the
the front.
yeah. Kirby needs a basket on his mountain bike.
I mean, it really makes sense to have a basket in the front of your bike. Remember in Back to the
Yeah,
Future, what did he do?
that was
Oh,
ET.
well, no, in Back to the Future, he grabbed that kid's, like, it was like a stand-up board, and it had the
Oh, it was
bars
like a
on it for the
scooter. Yeah.
basket, and he
Right.
broke it off, and then, or
Yeah.
something like that, and then he started riding it like a skateboard.
Yeah. Justin Jubert says, "What's up?" He has no idea what we're saying. I'm at a bar in Tampa. Uh-oh. Bigfoot poster. Look at that. Man, listen to the audio version of this podcast. Must really be hell because nobody knows what's going on.
Well, that's why
This is gonna be
you
hard to
got good
edit.
at that before. You got good before at it.
The first half hour I got to cut because we were trying to get your audio to work. Justin says he's at a bar in Tampa Bay.
What's he down there watching Brady?
Oh, that's right. He's there for the well, I think he so what he did is he tricked his wife into going. He's like, "Well, hey, look, I'm going to take you on vacation. We're going to go down to Miami." And it just so happens that the Baltimore Ravens are playing the Dolphins Thursday night.
Okay.
And he's a big Ravens fan. So
Good luck to Dan Marino.
yeah, Marino's playing. You know, who's the other Baltimore Ravens? So anyway, he tricked his wife into going on vacation. Then he's like, "Oh, hey, we're going to a football game Thursday night, Ravens Dolphins," and he said she wasn't going to be too happy.
So speaking of
See,
football,
look, I'm not lying to you. I know all about it.
speaking speaking of football, we were at the race over the weekend, and Spencer's the big Brady fan, right? And he's
Yep.
been following him to Tampa Bay, and he's like, shake on it right now. He goes, if Brady goes to the Super Bowl, we're gonna go, right? And I'm like, well, aren't tickets to the Super Bowl like $5,000?
Yeah, it's
And he's like, no, no, no. I'm like, yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, if you want to go to the Super Bowl, you're probably looking at 5,000 a ticket.
Well, Spencer should say,
And
hey, if you want to keep me as a driver,
then this would be a good opportunity to renew that contract here.
exactly.
Super Bowl weekend.
Spencer, you hold all the cards here.
So I told him, you know what? I looked at the schedule and I was like, well, you know, our the first race of our indoor national series is traditionally the week after the Super Bowl. So I told him, I said, you know, if that happens, I'll fly in the week early because it's in LA and we'll go. I said, I'm not buying your ticket, but we'll go.
Oh, well, he's not going
So anyway, that's a tentative plan. So let's
then.
see if what Brady can do.
See if he can get there. Eyes on 8. Justin Jubert's saying we go to Miami tomorrow if I get up in time. I've had a few.
Uh-oh.
So, yeah. So he's in trouble.
Baltimore Ravens, which was like the old Cleveland Browns, right?
What's that?
Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns, right?
Justin, if you miss this game, oh, dude, that'd be hilarious.
He's not missing it.
He's not missing it.
No.
But yeah, his wife's not going to be happy. He's saying the bartender here makes him pretty hefty. So he is in trouble. Allman's
Yeah.
saying fun facts. Most popular vacation stops in the U.S. are within 15 minutes of an RC track.
That sounds like a legitimate fact to me.
I can't think of one that's.
It sounds scientific.
I can't think of a vacation spot near LCRC. I mean, I just can't.
We'll think about that.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
I think, as a matter of fact, the only one of the very rare vacation destinations was when that Worlds was in Vegas back in 16. But is Vegas actually a vacation destination? Do you go there for vacation?
I don't know. I don't think you. Yeah, I mean, I did.
But is that a place to take your kids? I see people do it all the time.
No,
I see people do it all the time when I'm there, and I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what do you do with your kids in Vegas? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a waste.
You see it all the time when I'm on the flights, when
well,
I'm there.
I have no choice to bring them, but I wouldn't do that. There's Jason Santos. Man, I really needed you last week. We had some vintage questions.
Yeah, Jason is here.
RC Kevin saying, I think he's saying Vegas is not a relaxing vacation.
I don't think so either.
It's a lot of stress.
I think what it is it's a. We'll come back to it. I'll think of it.
Okay. All right. Circus, Carl saying.
Circus.
Scott Foy, he said hello, by the way, Jason. We go out for the. What's that?
I think that is it's a horse show.
What? It's a what?
I think it's a horse show that he does in Vegas.
And people bring all their kids. So he goes to this, and the people bring their kids. Yeah, I don't know. I would never do that, though.
It's difficult. It's definitely an adult destination, in my opinion. But how many times can you go to Disney World? I see those commercials all the time. It's like the 50th anniversary of Disney World. People just love it. They can't get enough of Disney World.
I went one time, and that was it. That was good enough for me.
Yeah, you go to the Wedway People Mover, and you do the Thunder Mountain, and the what's the one with the that they made the movie. Well, they're all movies now, probably, but where you go through the water. Well, there's Splash Mountain, but I've never been on that. But what's the movie with Johnny Depp?
Oh man,
Is the
You're-
where he's like he's the pirate, Pirates of the Caribbean.
oh yeah, well that's in Vegas too.
That ride at Disney. But I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how
What?
people love it. Love
Oh,
Disney.
Disney. Yeah,
They
I was
love
more
it.
excited
It's-
about going to visit Lake Whippoorwill.
Well,
That was awesome.
me too.
Oh, Bobby brings up a great point here. Vegas is just a place to throw away money, and ET Atari cartridges the way. That's where they buried the ET cartridges in the desert.
I don't know about that. What is that?
So long. There's actually they made a movie or a doc about it. You can go on. I think it's on Prime.
Okay.
So they designed this ET for the Atari 2600. It was an ET game, and Atari gave the designer, the game designer, like 6 to 8 weeks to finish it. You know how long a game usually takes. Well, they just gave him this short amount of time, so he just did the best he could, and the game ended up being like total crap, like just total garbage. This is the worst game. It was one of the worst games. I'll link you on YouTube so you can just check it out briefly. But
Okay.
so long story short, they were left with all these ET cartridges, I guess, and they buried them in a desert somewhere out there in Vegas. I don't know why they did that because I actually haven't watched that yet. I want to see that movie, but
I mean,
documentary. But
could you just throw them in one of those grinders like they do for, you know,
yeah, I forget the
when
reason.
you trim trees and you throw them in those like a stump grinder?
I don't know, Bobby. Did you see that documentary? It's supposed to be pretty good. He said he owned the cartridge. I did too. I was so upset about it. Actually, my brother used to play that all the time. He didn't mind it, but man, I couldn't. It was just trash.
Hey, but could you do better in 6 to 8 weeks?
No, I couldn't. I actually listened to an interview with I gotta figure out what podcast he was on. It was one of the years ago. He was on a podcast talking about it, and I felt kind of bad for the guy because he was under the gun to get the game out at the same time the movie came out.
Oh,
I think that's what it was, and yeah, he saw the movie. It was pretty interesting for such a shitty game. Oh, Scott Foy said he worked at Disneyland for many years. Okay, he was the Mickey Mouse. What were you, Mickey
no,
Mouse?
he did.
Or...
He did cool stuff.
Oh.
He did cool stuff.
Well, no, that's cool. Behind a mascot type thing. Jason Santos is saying he's been laid up with COVID the last couple weeks. Just came home from the hospital today. Wow, man, glad you're.
Well, get well soon.
Jeez. Yeah.
I know I sent him a couple texts and I figured something was going on. But yeah, get well soon.
Yeah.
If he went home, that's good.
Yeah, I guess that's good news. Man. I don't know if that's an excuse to miss the pod, but okay. I'm just kidding there, Jason.
Oh.
So Scott is there for National Finals Rodeo, NFR.
See?
So you're right. Okay. Well, you know Scott very well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if we're going to get to the RC questions here yet, but Pete's saying Grand Canyon and the Hoover Dam are easy drives from Vegas.
They are. I went to Hoover Dam. I didn't do the dam tour though.
Did you get any damn bait?
I didn't do the dam tour. I think Allison did, but I didn't do the Grand Canyon yet.
Where do I get some damn bait? Didn't do the Grand Canyon. Well, you see Chevy Chase when he went to the Grand Canyon. He's like,
Yeah,
"Okay,
I've seen
go."
all the movies. Yep.
Vacation.
Clark, don't you want to look at the Grand Canyon? He's got his hands around his head. Okay,
All
let's
right,
go.
let's go.
That's how I'd be. Oh yeah, I've seen it now. I'm sure it's awesome, but yeah, those are places to go to, but it's actually not in Vegas, right? So it's like you
Yeah, I was
fly
at the
into
Hoover Dam.
Vegas.
I mean, it's impressive, but
Hmm.
it's not. You go
It's
once
funny
and
how
that's
they
it.
it's funny how they kind of latched on to Vegas in a way where now it's something that people do. They go there, not that they didn't
Go to the
ever, but
Hoover
it's a big thing to
Dam.
do. It's a big thing to do now,
The dam?
right?
Well, goddamn.
They should do a ride in Vegas that where you jump like they do in Vacation, where he jumps the Queen family truckster and lands. They should do a ride where you do something like that.
Yeah, little vacation ride.
You come out, the kid, you go, I think I stabbed my brain. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yep.
Aunt Edna was dead.
Will
No,
Britton's
she wasn't
back.
dead at that point.
No, she was alive. Then they put her on top of the car.
Yeah. She can't weigh
Let me
more than
change
100
my
pounds.
change my background. Yeah. See if that works out.
Will Britton, he's back.
There we go. There's the December schedule. November, December. Scott's saying that your idea there with the vacation ride, that would be
Yeah.
badass. And then you can drink a cold one on the rock.
Yep. Your glasses are falling off and
Yeah. Russ. sharing a beer with Russ.
you know, my dad shared a beer with me once.
Don't tell mom
Yeah. Yeah, you do the
or
ride, you go
grandma.
in, the car jumps, you land, doors pop open.
Pete's saying have Holiday Road playing on the whole ride.
Of
That would,
course, yeah.
damn, we got a great idea there. That was my
That's the
idea.
first that's the first vacation you would go on.
Ah,
See that?
I see what you did there. Well,
Clark.
the dog peed on the sandwiches.
Yeah. You could do a lot of cool things. Christy Brinkley, she could make an appearance.
So the new vacation that came out recently, well, it's probably been a couple years now. I actually liked it. Wasn't bad.
I think I saw it.
Yeah, you went to
Yeah, it
the
was
theater
okay.
to see it. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was. I thought they were gonna. At first I was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna ruin this," but it really wasn't that bad. Christina Applegate was in it.
Yeah, I mean it was an alright movie. It wasn't.
Well, they didn't like totally like ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they didn't. But
There you go. A
all right,
hot blonde in a red Ferrari. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Whatever that song was.
what else we got here? Should we get to some RC stuff?
Yeah, go ahead.
Scroll up here. I know we wanted to do an episode. I was talking about it last week, Jason, on the BJ4.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to just make that a whole episode because sure there's a lot involved in that.
That would be a good episode.
All right, so we got to promise that to I forget his name. Send us a message about it. He wanted us to do a pod on it.
Okay.
Oh, Siri's going off. All right, so let's go here. RC Kevin. He says, "What region did you find had the biggest RC boom?"
Ever?
I don't know. Kevin, ever?
I mean, you got to think California was the biggest. But I think at this point it's not anymore. If I just had to guess,
Well, everybody's leaving California.
I don't know the numbers on, but when when you had Associated from Southern California and they had some of these real special tracks, and a lot of companies were from Southern California, and I would say that was probably that was the first big RC boom was in that area, and it's everywhere now. There's RC everywhere. So
Florida's got to be like the hot spot now.
I don't think it's the hot spot,
You guys
but
seem like you have tracks like in every direction down there.
we have tracks down here, quite a few of them, but I don't I wouldn't say it's the hot spot, but we do well. It's really hard to say what the hot spot is. I think we could probably go to the live RC statistics that they get, but of course that's only
like where have you been recently where you're like, oh hey, this is really getting, it's growing here. Where at one time it was kind of like,
there's a lot of places like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just in Minnesota, and we were an hour and a half from Minneapolis, and they have a pretty good racing program and kind of vibe going on there. There's people, and it has a lot to do with available tracks and what they're offering, but it's surprising. It's surprising what can happen in a short amount of time if you have a nice track and you have some promotion going on. But yeah, I think they did well. That's surprising, how far away from the big city that is. And it's not like it's not super small, but there's a lot of them. We were just in Brookfield, Wisconsin, which isn't that far from the Milwaukee airport for that Team Associated race. I mean, they had 330 entries. I mean, that race has been going on a while now, but they have a good racer base there.
Racer base. You're a poet. Didn't know it. Yeah, Bill Collins says, Jason, it was nice meeting you over the weekend at Trackside.
Yeah, it was a great race. People love that track. Something about the surface, the way they prep it and paint the infields. Nice
Gotta
pipe.
love that. What was it? White?
What's that?
What color were the
infields? It's yellow pipe.
What color did they paint them?
Let me try to plug my phone back in again.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm going to lose you.
How about it?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, the track there, people just love it. And to me, it's a little on the small side, but I think that is ideal for 10 scale. It's easy to change tracks, layouts. It's easy to fit in a building, and it doesn't have to be gigantic to have good racing on. And that track proves it. Smack Track, it's the other one in Missouri. They prove it. A lot of these tracks, they don't have to be gigantic to have good racing, and that's one of them. And we were doing qualifiers at 8 cars. It was totally fine.
Yeah,
no traffic issues. They went to 10 in the mains, and it wasn't a big deal. Trying to pass somebody is never easy. It's not easy anywhere. But people make it happen. Nice to meet you, Bill.
Scott's saying, I would say 8 scale is getting bigger out here in SoCal.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably true. More available tracks. There's the indoor tracks are disappearing. That used to be the staple of being in California, is they had indoor tracks. And now it's mostly outdoor.
Man, where are they finding land out there to do that? I think it'd be pretty expensive.
I think they're getting some of these parks and things like that. It's helping out the fairgrounds.
Oh, gotcha.
Uh, the other thing about 8 scale is you can just beat the heck out of the cars, and they're probably a little easier for people getting into it if they can. It's two issues. 10 scale cars I think are more affordable. It's easier to get into it, but they're a little harder to drive, and the surfaces are kind of finicky, and so are the cars. An 8 scale, once you get the price of the car off the table and get one, they're durable, you can hammer on them, and you can do these outdoor tracks where people seem to like that. So, but everywhere we go, we have gigantic turnouts. They just had in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, I mean, another area that you wouldn't really think of.
Yeah.
They had a terrific race there, the Masters of Dirt, and they had 300 something entries there. We had 240 in Minnesota. So on one weekend, we were racing on the same weekend. They had the Masters in South Carolina, and then they had the RJ Concepts race in Minnesota. And on the same weekend, we had 240 in one location, 300 in another, and uh, there was other races too. It was just there's a lot of racing going on
Yeah.
if you want to find it.
Scott's saying he thinks carpet is the future of 10 scale off roading.
It might be. I mean, I've talked about that several times on here that the way the cars are designed, it does make sense that it could be. Mayfield flat out says it. He just says he thinks it's going to be 10 scale you run on carpet, and
Really?
8 scale you run in the dirt. That's what he thinks. That's what he's like. I don't know why He's like, we're putting it off long, but that's what's going to happen.
Wow.
That's basically what he thinks.
Okay. Pete's asking what carpet tires work best without saucing.
Well, we didn't sauce in Minnesota. We weren't saucing at Beachline. We just worked we ran twin pins was our control tire, Swagger fronts in Minnesota. And we'll probably run fuzz bites at Beachline. And yeah, you don't have to sauce on any of the carpet races. I've never sauced any carpet tires at any track I've been to. I know Paul has tried it and done it at Beachline on some practice days. I know Brock and the guys have tried it and tested it at 702. The only thing they say is that you can make tires traditionally last a little longer by saucing. So let's just say, for instance, you get 5 great runs.
Mm-hmm.
You can extend it by saucing them later. So you could get to 5 and then you could go a little further than that. But I don't like saucing anything. I just, you have to do it at these dirt tracks, dirt races. But I think that's one of the things that we should eliminate in RC. It's hard to do it. And I don't think there's any reason to do it in carpet. I think you can run carpet without saucing, and we should try to keep that out.
So Pete was saying that there's a new off-road track coming to Houston, and they will not allow saucing.
Yeah, I don't see why they should.
Scott's saying I think the tracks are easier to change and the environment is cleaner.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I mean, when you go to dirt tracks and ones in the past, especially ones we've had on the East Coast because of our orange red dirt, these tracks are just a mess. It's hard to make them clean. The walls, the ceiling that gets in the hobby shop, that dirt, it just really ruins your storefront trying to keep it out of there. And that's a nice thing about carpet is it does stay clean. If you ever have to get out of that building or move or whatever the case may be, it's cleaner for the landlord owner. And you're not destroying the building. I can't imagine some of these buildings that RC tracks have been in and then try to use it for something else. It's got to be a tremendous cleaning, or they just don't care and they just move right in. But
Yeah.
The tracks are
Um,
easier to change, but it is expensive. I mean, they're Minnesota told me that they're on their third year now with their carpet, CRC carpet.
mhm.
So, and they're ready for new carpet. And I think Robbie at Beachline, I think he's on his, well, this is 1 year. You know, he put in new stuff for the most part last year, and he's running it a year. And um, I still haven't really figured out necessarily for, well, for off-road, why we need black CRC carpet for off-road. I think that we could use the cheaper stuff, um, like the Office Depot, the gray, little taller. Um,
Oh, you think it'll hold up?
yeah, it does. They use it, and I think it's less expensive too. So you can
Hmm,
change it more often if you want it.
nice.
That's what they use at some of the places. But yeah, and as Scott's saying, easier to convince the landlord that, yeah, that's 100%. I mean, you go in there with these dirt tracks. If you tell them you're putting dirt in there, they might be like, "Ooh."
What?
Scotty was just explaining to me over the weekend what he did when he got that building where the trackside track is.
Mhm.
Um, he rented that. He said it was like a day or two after September 11th, 2001 is when he moved in there. He was putting up the pegboard for the hooks like a day or two after 9/11. And he said that they had the jackhammer. It was an old, they had tile in there or something. Like it was like a tile warehouse or like a store where you buy tile.
Yeah.
And they had it like there was parts in the main area where there was like 3 or 4 layers of tile from them tiling over the top of tile, and they had to go in there with a jackhammer. He's like, I'm in here. He's like, I'm literally. He's showing me. He's like standing right where it was, and he's like, I'm jackhammering right here through multiple layers of tile, and I'm just thinking, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
And um, they got it done, and people loved the place. But yeah, the building was built in 1964. Somebody was telling me,
Wow.
and but it works great for what they're doing there.
Let's see, I had more up here somewhere. So, do you think is no prep drag racing already done? What's going on there?
I don't think that it's done, but I think that it's probably peaked. I think that it's probably has reached the peak of its interest, and I hope that we can hold on to a good bit of it, of the activity that we have. But it was climbing so quick and so fast last year,
Yeah.
and it was just at a such a blather people into it that uh, it moved quickly. And I don't think that it's done, but I think it's going to. It's kind of reached the peak, and I think it's gonna
Wow.
change a little bit. And there's many reasons, but because there's two sides to it. There's the bashing side to it that you just want to go fast and just have fun and play around in your front yard. And then there's the hardcore end of it where the guys are doing everything possible, uh, the actual racing side of it. So now there's an Associated car, there's a TLR car out there, there is a Traxxas vehicle. That's so 3 dedicated um, RTRs. They're RTRs. But the cars that people really race with now, they're really only using the suspension of like a B6
Hmm.
for a race car. Um, and there's other cars like the one I just got from 5-7 Designs when I was up there at the race in Wisconsin. I mean, it's a 100% um, carbon, aluminum, Delrin car, and it looks badass. But it's ultimately it would make a little more sense for the class to be, if you want to have a molded suspension and some type of a, it doesn't matter if it's mid-motor, but some type of a little bit budget-friendly, competitive race car. That's what you need for it to continue. If you build these cars and you got, I don't know, we'll see. I have a feeling that it has peaked. I don't think it's going to go away, but I have a feeling that the rocket-like acceleration has peaked a little bit.
Let's see here. What's this? Kean White. Kean White's joined in the chat. He said he saw a guy charging $2,500 for a sub 2 second car for a second car. It's crazy.
Yeah,
$2,500.
but I mean, yeah, but that's an 8-scale buggy. That's the same price of basically of an 8-scale buggy. But yeah, it's expensive. It's really expensive, and it just doesn't need to be, really.
All right. Scott's saying, do you see it like short course?
Well, maybe a little. Short course had a long life, though. I mean, right now, you don't want to, we're not burying drag racing or whatever, but let's just say that it has peaked in terms of this wildness that it had. Short course enjoyed 5 or 6 years of amazing success. And, this might, I mean, we're really only, we've been doing it about 4.5 years with bodies and stuff, but it was really it really exploded during COVID in terms of people turning it into a little more complicated version of itself. So,
what, drag?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, are we going to get 5 to 10 years out of like the short course popularity? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to, I still think we're going to sell more short course trucks and kits over a 10-year span than we are going to sell drag racing cars over a 10-year span.
So when was so drag racing had to be early 2000s. I remember Trinity was getting into drag racing, and we even had a guy that was like the pro at drag racing that lived in the Jersey area. He would come to Trinity, bring his drag car and everything, and they would just go over stuff. But so it was big then, right? Like early 2000s, and then it died off sometime.
It's been around forever.
It's been around, but like
yeah. I have some, there's been stuff from the, people have been doing it from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s to now. What changed was the car, this street eliminator that was what we called it. We got into it with JD Crow, a driver of ours in, I think he's around Arkansas, Oklahoma area, and he said we needed to take a look at this. It was a short course based chassis was the whole idea. It's based on a short course, and the bodies have to fit over this big chassis. And of course we've had all these pro mod drag cars for years, Top Fuel, and we've had all this stuff. But we've never had the short course class that was based off of the short course chassis. And it started gaining speed once we started adding some bodies to it, then the wheels and the tires, because it was easy to take your short course, turn it into this drag car, change the body, and you had a fun looking car, and you could go out and mess around with it and see if you could get any better. And then COVID hit, and it was a great do something by yourself or not in large groups. It was perfect. It allowed people to build and tweak. It was the perfect storm for it because
Yeah.
people had a new passion. They could say, "Oh man, I can take this, I can build this, I can do this," and people, that's what they did. And during that time, Associated was fortunate that they had released their DR10, and that was the RTR drag car that
Yep.
they had, and it was the right place at the right time. People were buying all that stuff like mad, and of course they buy it and they just want to change it into something different. But we went, AJ, who was with us at the time, he went through the whole process, got the DR10, got all the, then he's been through different chassis and all this stuff, and it's happened quick. But, there are a ton of other drag racing classes, and there's speed run cars. Um, so there's a lot of different little classes and segments in this drag and speed run category. But this one that people were really attracted to during this time has been the ones that look like the cars on TV, like Street Outlaws, and um, you know, people were attracted to 60s, 70s models, 80 model cars for it, and that was where it started. And it progressed really quickly to the point where everyone's like, oh, I got to have a special body now, and then it's like special chassis,
Yeah.
um, and the tires and the wheels, and to the point where speed controls and motors, and I mean batteries, and I mean this amount of things that have been thrown against the wall in drag racing, I would say, is probably more than any class that I've ever seen in a 2.5 year period. I've never seen so many things getting thrown against the wall for drag racing in a 2.5 year period than we've ever seen in anything.
Wow.
But to me, we have cars that what was attractive about this was it both based on a short course. Uh, Relatively speaking, you could use a short course rear wheel. You could use basically a two-wheel drive buggy front wheel
Hmm.
size. Um, there was some standardization kind of going on with the whole thing. And it was relatively easy and inexpensive, especially if you already had a short course or you got, but but what it's turned into is really the classes that already exist, um, that are really based off of direct drive, foam tires, the stuff that probably the guy that was when he was coming into Trinity and talking, that's all the stuff they had in the 90s and they do today. But to me, if we're going to progress this class that far, we might as well run the old classes because it's actually easier because they run a different chassis, they run foam tires. It's probably actually easier and faster. What this has turned into is almost the most difficult of all worlds: rubber tires, speed controls, batteries, motors, a lot of sensitivity with heat, and so uh, we've kind of reached a point where things are slowing down a little in the rapidness of the development. That 2.5 year cycle that I talked about, that was probably the quickest ever, but um, we're slowing down a little bit, but it's still there. Pro stock. I think it's a pro stock car. That's what they call the ones that I think you should just, if you're going this far with your um, uh, pro mod or, you know, street outlaw car, outlaw, whatever, um, just run those cars. Just run the pro stock. It's easier.
Nick's saying need cheaper starter spec classes like stock slash.
Yeah, I mean that they have that. I mean, you can use the associated car. You can use the Traxxas car. You can use the associate or the Losi, but those guys are kind of being laughed off right now that start and come in with those cars because it's so advanced now if you're trying to race. Now, if you're just trying to bash and have fun in front of the house, those cars are perfect for that. They're selling for that. But if you try to go racing on at a controlled environment event on lights, you're they laugh you out if you have that kind of car.
Oh, that's not nice.
No.
I mean, they have their own class, right? They don't?
What?
Like, don't you have your own class? You show up with this card at, the spec.
Yeah, there
Don't you
are
just rate?
they're inventing more and more classes as time goes on. It was at first it was one, then there's two or three, and there's 13.5, and it kind of goes through a mess.
So what Nick is saying, they need these spec classes. So there's no spec class right now where you can just be like, hey,
There is some.
okay.
Uh, what's strange is
Nick DeVito.
what's
Nick
strange
DeVito.
is I don't think they're as popular.
Love that
That's the
name.
strange part.
Really? They're not as popular.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because once you get in and you get hooked, that type
You
of car is no longer acceptable. You want the full on, you want the
right.
full
Wasn't that like
glamour
anything in
car.
RC?
It is. It is like that. So it's a very edgy sword uh, that you're on with this, and how to keep people coming into it, being interested, and then getting what you would call a refined race car. Um, that's kind of the process I think that you kind of hope that there is, but it's happened so fast uh, in this, and I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to it. I personally think that it's peaked. I think it's going to be around for quite a while still, but it's going to be slightly different than when it started, and it might not be as commercially successful as it was for this last 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah, Scott's
But that's just a
saying,
prediction. That's just a prediction. I don't
well,
know.
hey, you're in the know though. Scott's saying the spec stuff is played out. People ask for it, and many manufacturers have tried in every class, and the class dies just as fast as it sets in.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Um, hmm it's a lot bigger discussion, but yeah, this is
Yeah.
like the BJ4 topic.
They did road. Scott's saying they did road racing that way with Trinity and Low C. Did with the double X. Um, man, people just want to talk about this. Scroll through. Nick is saying, what would you suggest as a stepping stone then?
For drag racing,
Yeah.
well, um, I think that there's going to have to be enough people involved where the thing like chassis and these items in the business can kind of settle a little bit. To me, the reason that there is some success in longevity and success in 10 scale and 8 scale off road is because there's some stability in the classes and the equipment and the products to where um, things are a little more easy to figure out, I think. And you can buy a kit like an Associate car or a TLR car or whatever kind of kit you want, and it's pretty straightforward. Um, I think the I think the drag cars are going to have to look potentially a kit is going to have to look between a DR10 and the high end car that I just got. um, when I was up at the race. I was um, fortunate enough to get one of the latest, greatest drag cars, which is the Apollo, the 5.7 design Apollo car. I got one of those, and I think ideally what you're going to end up with is something between a DR10 and between this kind of Apollo car, where the prices it's not going to quite be a DR10, it's not going to quite be so the price point's going to get into the middle, and the cars are going to be a little more stabilized in design and in price and in effort level. And then we can start going to work a little bit on the classing, and maybe there's going to be an outright expert level, and maybe like a beginner novice level. That would be the step. But I kind of picture them using the same kind of cars like we do in off-road. Everybody has a very similar looking and style of car, but the classes might be a little different depending on your experience level or um, something to that nature. I don't like doing any of these classes by power. They separate a lot of classes by power, and especially in 10 scale for some reason, and electric motors where we have 17.5 and 13.5 and modified and all this stuff. And I don't really like that because to me it makes it harder. They're the most popular classes too,
Yeah.
17.5 and 13.5. But to me, they're the most difficult because you have to have technical inspection, legalized products, and all this stuff is so important. But in modified, especially in 10 scale off road or an 8 scale where you can buy however much power you want, you can only control so much power. So now there's no need for all these all this technical inspection and all this stuff, because you can only drive the car as fast as it'll go on the track. You're not limited by the power anymore. So if I had my way, everybody would have as much power as they wanted, and you tuned it to what your driving ability was. And as you got better as a driver, you would add more power, and then round and round we go. And if you want to separate by skill level, you got the pros and you got the Joes and you got whatever, If you want to separate by skill level, that's fine. But to me, the whole separating by power just doesn't make a lot of sense because it gets too complicated. It leaves the door open for all these rule problems. And I just think that the answer is if all the cars you could put whatever kind of power you want in it. Now you're back to tuning it to the way that so you can drive it the best. And all these 17.5 and 13.5 and all this stuff, to me, that's just it just makes everything more complicated than it doesn't need to be. And so if we could go, like the system we have right now, which is decent, which is, we have two-wheel modified, we have 13.5 and 17.5. It's a good system, but I think that we have too many good drivers racing in the 17.5 and 13.5 that should race mod. If we could take the cream of the crop out of stock, 25, let's say it's 20% of the crowd, and put them in the modified, I think the thing would be correct. I think the balance would be correct. But the other thing you could do is in Nitro, they all have the same power and they separate by skill level. So it's like, oh, I'm a pro, I'm an intermediate, I'm a sportsman, I'm a I'm a 40 plus, right? So they got 3 or 4 designations
Oh
in
yeah, I'm supposed
Nitro,
to
but
bust you about finishing third and 40 plus. Don't let me forget about that. All
okay.
right. Anyway, good.
So, uh, so yeah, they have 3 or 4 classes in 8 scale, and they all have the same power. Nobody cries that they can't drive the car, right? In Nitro, nobody says I got too much power and I can't drive it.
Right.
And which when I drive the car in 8 scale, it has too much power.
Yeah.
But nobody cries about that at the races. But for some reason, when we race 10 scale and we're racing modified, they'll say, "Well, I can't drive a modified car; they're too fast." It's like, well, nobody says that in 8 scale. In 8 scale, everybody has the same power, and nobody comes off and says, "I can't drive it; it has too much power." So there's a lot of excuse making, I think, in 10 scale relative to that. I think if we just all went to the same power across the board, it would simplify the thing. And if you want to separate it then and get into the skill level side of things, where they do it like they do in 8 scale, that's fine. I think you could tweak that formula a little bit to where there isn't people creeping into other classes that don't need to be in there. But like I said, if you took right now the last 2 races we were at, last 3 races we were at, if you probably took the top 20, say if you had, say for instance you had 100 guys sign up for 17.5 buggy, and you took, you know, 10 would be 10%, 20 would be 20%. If you took the top 10 or 20% out of that class and they went to mod, the thing would be it would be about right. So if we could get that formula squared away, and then I think what I could see with the drag racing is if everybody's running pretty much the same chassis, and it's separated 2 or 3 ways out on the track, I could see that kind of working a little more long term. Just standardizing it a little bit more so that it isn't so Wild West shootout.
Scott's saying no spec. It seems to trap the kids in stock and never drive mod.
Yeah. Well, what's happening is the incentive. It's there's a lot of drivers that there's a lot of incentive for them to race 17.5 longer because they can win, and so there's a little more incentive there for guys to do that. But yeah, like I said, if we could just scrape the top 10 to 20% off the 17.5 classes or 13.5 and put them right into mod, the balance would be about right.
Man, I never thought we'd be doing drag racing the whole show here. Joshua was saying, I like Gotti. Used to joke with him back on 4th on Facebook for years. Now I can't see him anymore. I must have got blocked years ago. So what I'm guessing here is you were friends with me on my old account, the Gotti Jr. account that got kicked out of Facebook completely because you're not allowed to use nicknames anymore. So I had to create a new account, and I will look you up here, and I'll send you a friend request. How do you like that, Joshua? No hard feelings.
Perfect.
Where was I now? You got anything else in here besides? Jesse Hernandez is saying, what are you guys going to do with the Apollo chassis, Jason?
Well,
you touched on it a little bit there, Dan.
Yeah. I met Chris Sanchez there at the race, and he happened to offer us another Apollo, which was nice. He built it up there for us. A lot of motivation. He got it built, and he explained some things that I had seen and realized in the past with a lot of these of the top chassis that are being run now that they don't have caster in the front end for the most part. The the chassis flat. They don't have as much kick up. So what happens when you don't have a lot of that is um, when you have kick up, the wheelbase changes uh, throughout the suspension cycle, and there's some tweaks we can do to a few of our bodies to help the cars that have less kick up in the front end, because the tire travels to a different place, and there's some things that we can do with that chassis. So we're going to put our latest stuff on it. We're going to get our latest bodies kind of tuned to this style chassis, I guess we'll say. We don't have to make gigantic moves, but make some little moves so that it fits this stuff a little better. More people are using these style of vehicles in the hardcore scene, so we need to, I explained to people, we were at the race over the weekend, and there's two sides to this whole thing. There's the hardcore side-by-side racing side of it, where people are reaching for the variety is starting to leave the body scene because it's all more about performance. It's going a little more touring car or something of that nature. And then there's the other side of it, which is I call drag bashing. Guys that just want to build, look cool, go out, have fun with it. That's why there's a discrepancy in widths of our bodies. We started narrow, we went wide because we thought for a while that, hey, these guys might be using these bodies on full width short courses. We made them wider. Then we went narrower again for more of the drag racing inspired chassis. So we've been everywhere with it, and there's people that think that we don't know what we're doing, and but we've been in this longer than anybody. We've seen it go through all these cycles, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to follow where the people are. At one point we had to take a shot in the dark on the width and the length and all this type of thing. Then we went wide because we thought it needed to fit a more wider range of platform. And then we started, narrowing back up as more vehicles came out, like the Associated and the TLR and the Traxxas. And we had the opportunity to use some of our licensing, Ford, Chevrolet, all these kind of things. We wanted to make bodies like that looked like the real cars. And then the bodies took on a whole nother level, and then that's the chassis started changing, and so now we're starting to design bodies around chassis, and like the Apollo. So I think, and there's many out there like it, and I assume there's going to be even more in the future. But we're going to get this built up, put our latest stuff on it, and make any changes necessary that makes it work well with that style chassis setup.
So Joshua was asking for me, did you get time out permanently? Yep. Do not allow nicknames. So I gave them all the proof that I used the nickname, but they still. So I lost.
Care?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends on there, and so Joshua, I just forget who was on there, and I didn't, add people. I just let.
Yeah, it's not like you went back and knew 1,000 of your friends, and you're like.
Yeah, it was just like, well, I'll just hit a few here and
get going.
No one could find me. Carl's saying enough with the drag. Let's get something going body wise for the 5T and the 5B platforms.
Yeah, Carl's been hitting me up pretty hard. He's a hardcore fifth scale guy, and the difficult part with a body for anything fifth scale is the size. We're set up mainly for 10th and 8th scale, the drag racing, and to go larger than that, You know, usually if people ask me, what does a body mold cost or what does it take? And, I'm thinking that, to not that it can't be done, but to get into the fifth scale, especially a 5T range, what we figure is any of these new bodies, any body that comes out, we're putting it as a $10,000 plus project, and that's kind of the bare bones. If you really had to figure a lot of different things into it, it'd probably be more expensive. But you get into fifth scale, we're probably talking about something that's $50,000 or $60,000 project by the time you're planning, working on it, mold building, um, making an actual product, um, and um, and then you're talking about bolt-on panels, especially for a 5T,
Oof, man.
and it's just a big undertaking. And I don't think it's not that we're not ready for that. It's that it's hasn't made it to the top of the list. We have with this, with drag racing being as popular as it has the last couple of years, the monster trucks, the monster trucks doing well. It's just a segment that we're in. And then off-road racing, it's hard for us to fit a project like that in, especially at that cost of what we could be using that kind of cost for.
Um, Scott's saying even the drag racing bodies are hard to paint, and other painters I know won't even paint them.
It's a lot of paint. It's a big body, a lot of paint,
Drag
and
racing bodies? They're
yeah,
just
they're
all
big.
skinny and
Well, yeah, but they use a lot of paint too. So uh, I think
seems like
probably
it'd be something easy to paint.
I
Just
think I think I I think masking out the design in there is probably it's probably easier than doing it in like inside of a buggy body. But
that's what I was
I'm not a
thinking.
painter.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a lot of paint. I know that.
All right. Kyle Predmore, he's here. What's
He's
up,
always
Kyle?
here.
Allman's saying, what's the trophy slash award slash trinket you treasure the most and why? You know my answer, Jason.
uh, P main trophy.
That's it. Joel Johnson got me that.
I think the one I shared on my story, I think it was this morning or last night, was my 93 Reedy Race trophy. I think that um, for me, I think that was like the first time that I realized that maybe I could do this at a little bit of a different level. Before I went to that event, and I was, I mean, really, I'd only been racing 2 years, but, uh, organized competitive RC, but, you never really know what level that you could do it at or to. But when I ran that race at the Reedy race in 93 and I was able to get on the podium in the two-wheel class in the open division, I think that was a big thing for me. I think that changed what my goals were. I think it changed what um, uh, how people saw me as a racer, and I think it elevated my confidence to the point where it's like, hey, I can have these, I can have success outside of different areas. And I mean, I came from Florida. I never raced on indoor tracks. I traveled to California, went to the Reedy race on an indoor track. It's not like today, like where these kids and these guys travel all over the place.
These
Um, you
damn
know,
kids.
well, they have a ton of experience uh,
Yeah.
racing, tons. I mean, I was talking to Al Horn one day, and I was like, I think both of his kids, Austin and Aiden, I bet you they have more indoor 10 scale track experience than Ryan Mayfield, Ryan Cavallari, and Jared Tebow, and
Wow.
they've probably only been racing a third of the time because they've run so much. They've done so much driving in the Midwest with their dad and running indoor dirt tracks. Um, they've just done a lot of racing, and there's a lot of racers out there like that that I can think of. But back in those days, there wasn't as many. You didn't travel like that like they do today, or like we do today. There was only 6 large races in the year, including the Worlds, and um, or if it was a regional style event, you let the regional guys in that area race it. You didn't bring in the world champion to run a regional event back then. It was like you only bring in the world champion to a world level or a national level event. Now, um, the world champion can race. He can run a Super Cup in Florida one weekend, and the next weekend he's running the nationals or the worlds, and that's kind of what we're asking them to do. But in that time period, I only raced outdoor tracks. I went out there to California. Um, it's just, some kid that uh, had a
Yeah.
cool paint job, and yeah, and I did pretty well, and it just kind of changed how the Associated guys saw me. The Mike Reedies, the Gene Hustings, the Cliff Letts, people that I raced with back home. They saw me as a different racer, and so yeah, I would say that's probably my best uh, or my favorite award, or the however you phrased it, the most treasuring one, I'd say. I
Um.
have it here. I could show it.
Oh, well, please do. That'd be great.
Okay.
Joshua, I sent you a friend's request, so run to your phone and accept. Oh, Jason's blowing the dust off it. Oh, okay. Look at this. Well, let's
This is
put
the
this in. There you go. Put that there.
1993.
Wow.
Look at this. We were sponsored. They had the big sponsors back then. Reedy got
Yep.
Sanyo, RC Car Action. That's all he needed.
That's it.
He's like, that's all we need for sponsors. Now
That's
it's
all you
like you have
needed.
like not back. Now you got 27 sponsors for a race. You gotta, it's presented by somebody. It's you know, there's like there's a title sponsor, a presenting sponsor, class sponsors,
Oh
a
my
sponsor for
god.
concourse. But yeah, this is the award here. I don't know, thought it was kind of a nice trophy.
Yeah.
Somehow this has made it. I have a bunch of winter champs ones that I love to have, but I think they got thrown away when I moved. When I moved to California, I think my parents threw them away. But I'd love to have my winter champs ones. But unfortunately, I don't have any winter champs trophies. I have all the ones. I have some other ones, some worlds ones. I'm missing one worlds one. I threw it away in California when I was pissed. Wish I wouldn't have did that. But
Oh.
I have my other two. I have my world's A main trophy from Finland, and I have my world's trophy from Minreg. So I need to get that 97 one back. Maybe I'll have to I'll have to text or message a driver, one of the other drivers that was in the main, to see what theirs looked like. Maybe I could recreate it.
Man, I can't believe that.
I don't remember it being very nice. That's not what I was pissed about, but um, it wasn't a very nice trophy.
Joshua was asking, would you ever consider doing a batch of pink tools every 2 to 3 years in support of breast cancer?
Allison had breast cancer. I think that the issue with pink is um, Well, first of all, you have to make a lot of tools. I think you couldn't do a line of tools. Maybe you would have one tool, like the one that I think of that would probably be really nice for that would be like the thumb wrench we have that is 7 millimeter on one side and 5.5 on the other. That would be a cool like um, special edition wrench. And then I think it would make the most sense to do something like that. But and then try to see if you can get a nice anodized pink. Um,
Yeah.
I've seen some turn out nice. I've seen others not that great, but um, I think you could get a nice if you got a nice pink anodized. It look good. It look really cool.
Yeah, Ronda's engine, that pink looks
Mm-hmm.
pretty good.
Mm-hmm. That'd be a nice one.
Um, so we got John checking in here. He's asking, will we be seeing that old style racing regionals qualify you for nationals?
Well,
I think we talked about this on the pod already, but
yeah, it's a popular thing.
yeah,
Uh, well, we did that. I want to say it was the 94 regionals qualified us for the 94 Roar Nationals, something like that. Or maybe it was the 93 regionals qualified you for the 94. So one of the two. Because right now the Nationals qualify you for the Worlds. And and then they went down and they said, okay, well, let's have the regionals qualify you for the Nationals. And it was kind of a cool um, twist and a reason to run the regionals uh, locally. I don't see it happening because I don't see the Roar organization motivated or strong enough to make that happen. Because we'd have to have a functioning, all regions would have to be functioning well and hold a regional event capable of qualifying drivers into the nationals. And I think it would only maybe work in 8 scale because that's the only nationals that sells out. Because right now, the 10 scale nationals doesn't even sell out, and they're not even qualified drivers. So um, I think the tough part would be to try to make people qualify for something that doesn't even sell out to begin with, because then you're talking about what So I think it'd be kind of a difficult system for 10th scale. And then you have 17.5 and 13.5 you'd have to think about, and that one is how do they qualify? They
oh
got to run
god,
stock at their national, at their, um, how do they qualify for that? You'd have to kind of change that up a little bit. But it was really fun. It made our regionals, I remember,
yeah.
extremely competitive. I
I
remember,
used to go to those things thinking I qualify for a national.
oh man,
Stupid was I.
when you when you could when our regionals qualified you for the nationals and when our nationals qualified you for the worlds, it meant something.
Yeah,
And man, they were intense.
I think they need to bring it back. I really do. But I guess there's a lot of
You could there's a lot of ins and outs and what have yous. Isn't that from the movie The Big Lebowski? A lot
I
of
never
ins and
saw it.
outs, a lot of what have yous. That's funny. You'd like the humor in that. Uh, but there's some things you'd have to do to make that work.
Um, John Bolton checking in. John, what's up, buddy? John says, "How do you think inflated gas prices will affect traveling to big events?"
It probably will. It probably will eventually have an effect. I mean, when we're going around what I'm seeing from my end, I don't drive as much to events, but I'm flying. The flights still seem to be priced pretty well, but um, what I'm noticing is rental cars are more expensive and they're harder to get.
Mm,
And when you get a rental car, they used to be like kind of new. You'd get a rental car and they're fairly new vehicles, less miles. I got a minivan in uh, Connecticut this year that The front tires were bald, and the sidewall had a golf ball knot in it that was just ready to pop.
Perfect.
Poof, like, and I mean, they're just giving you junk now. If it's like because they're running out of. I think they sold all their cars, and they like during COVID, they're like, oh, no one's traveling. Let's get rid of our inventory. They sold a lot of their
Oh, yeah,
cars.
then the chip shortage.
Yeah, and then they couldn't get new cars. So now they're taking what they can get. And that's why you end up with, a minivan with two bald tires and a knot.
Where you're like, man, that thing's gonna pop.
Yeah, and um, and you pick up some of these things, they smell like people have been drinking and smoking in there, for a
Oh
week.
God.
And there've been some pretty ugly cars we've gotten.
Was it
That's
like
been the
a
biggest thing. Renting cars, the price of them has been high, and availability. Flights have been good and still somewhat inexpensive. But if people are going to be driving a lot, I don't know. I mean,
you're screwed.
we've went through these high gas prices before, and I don't see people with F-350s, Ford F-350s pulling a trailer. I don't see them out there with hybrids. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it seems like people that have these fuel inefficient vehicles and big trailers, that seems like they don't slim down right away. That's for sure. They either are forced to years over a period of time, or they just deal with it. They just pay the prices, or they have the money to do it, or something. But when you go to these races, like they're there this weekend at AMS, I mean, there is so many big pickup trucks and trailers and RVs and four-wheelers to drive around in the pits, and it doesn't look like people are struggling. It just looks like, they're of course there are people that do it more on a budget. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but there are a lot of people that go there with a ton of equipment, and it just seems like they just pay whatever the gas prices are and they just go anyway.
Just deal with it.
I guess what you have to figure out is what is the difference, right? Say the gas prices were, say when they went to AMS a couple of years ago, let's just say the gas prices were $2 a gallon, and then, and they spent $600 in fuel. Is it half? Is it half the cost? What is the actual difference that they're paying? Is it costing them now to go to the event $150 more in fuel, or is it costing them, $450 more in fuel? So, but I think that it will have an impact eventually. I just don't know if it's how long it takes to completely catch up, but at the moment, the races are slamming.
John's saying, here we go. John Good says, Roar needs to step up and make this happen. I was 2 years old in 1994.
That's when I won my first regionals.
Good God. I was talking to you earlier today. How I hate these young punks. I'm becoming that old grumpy man that just like sees these young punks and I'm like, yeah, screw you.
I wish I was 22.
Exactly.
Yeah, that 94 regionals. Yep. That was the first one I won.
When did Roar stop doing that? Qualifying?
Honestly, it didn't last very long.
Oh, it didn't?
No. From what I remember, it didn't last very long.
Huh. Wonder why.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
It made it really competitive.
They need to make these, yeah. I really think they need to bring it back, but
I'm sure I'll have a dream about this tonight, and I'll have a lot of clarity on how it was back then.
Yeah, you can tell me all about it tomorrow. John Bolton is saying Roar needs to do how AMA did Amateur Nationals, dedicated spot yearly.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. What the Europeans do is they have an A and a B Euros. So if you qualify to be in one or the other.
Yeah.
The goal is to be in the A Euros. That's the big show. And if you can't, you're in the B Euros, and you could race for that particular title. But it is so much different because we have so many events here. I mean, we just made the calendar for 2022, and trying to tweak all it up for our events and everything else. And there's just so many events that there's just no. I don't think people would really care if you made a Roar Amateur Nationals. They're just like, I'll just go to one of these other races and race in the sportsman or the intermediate class, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Like the problem that we have is the goals in this are the stepping stones, the goals, the system of the way it all works is kind of a problem, where there's no real reason or motivation for somebody to run the amateur nationals because they might already be sponsored, or they might already be they could have already accomplished all these things. And if you were to set it up properly with rankings, and there's a kind of a system that takes you through the process of starting as entry level to expert. If there was a system to go through for that, then people would maybe see the benefit in it. But at the moment, there's no benefit for them because they can just kind of race whatever they want, whenever they want, and they can get the support they want is out there. And there's just not a real, a real good path for people to follow from beginner to expert. It's not laid out, and that's a little bit frustrating, I guess.
I think Scott was asking earlier about silly season, and he says here, normally this time of year, I hear a lot of the so and so is switching, but from the word I hear, is no one's really jumping around this year. Is that true? Everybody's kind of staying put, I guess, and tied in already. The big names,
Yeah,
I guess.
I think that's the biggest thing is most people, most of the agreements out there are already in place. There's a few that are out there. I think there'll be a little silly season.
Okay.
I there might be we also might be in a time period where people are less concerned about it. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
The drivers, you mean, switching?
Like the general RC interested public, they're less interested in the RC silly season than they used to be.
Really?
I don't know. That maybe that's just a something that I picked up on, or something I'm just assuming, but I could be wrong. But I feel like there was a time period in the heyday of the Neo buggies and the live RCs and some of these sites that publicized that and kind of made it a big deal, like who raced for who and who's moving on and who's changing. And I think we've kind of lost some of that interest due to those kind of those journalistic uh,
Hmm.
people that we had at that time. We
Right.
just don't have that anymore at that level. But there are driver movements, there's driver changes, and we were talking about a lot of it over the weekend at the race we were just at. Amongst kind of ourselves. Um, between me and Spencer and Cavallari and Thomas and Dustin, whoever at the race, we all kind of discussed different things, but it's kind of like kept in our group. But uh, yeah, it's tough to say what's really going to change dramatically there this year. I think a lot of people are still kind of in their current position. There's going to be some changes, though. There will be.
I mean, there's only a handful of guys I would really, be interested in to see what they're doing. But I think we'll wrap it up here soon because I smell dinner. Did you eat already, Jason?
Nope.
All right. Let me just look here real quick. John Bolton saying Roar needs to have a $5 membership fee to get members back. Dustin is saying, Jason, which Hall of Fame member are you most looking forward to see inducted at the Monster Truck Hall of Fame this weekend? Are you going to this, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
I am. I like going to this event. They got their own facility and their own place now in Butler, Indiana.
I thought you were going to say Butler,
Um,
PA, home of the 1996 Roar
yeah,
Off-Road Nationals.
and there's the mention. Uh,
I got it in.
uh, I would say the most deserving is probably the Hall brothers, uh, Tim and Mark Hall, I think, with the Raminator team, the Dodge Ram supported guys. I think those guys are probably very tops on the list. Um, from a nostalgic standpoint, I like the No Problem, the John Moore, his No Problem Bronco. I thought that was always fun in the TNT days. I mean, I'd never really expected a lot of performance, but it was a cool name. It was a fun time period, 88, 89, and 1990, 91-ish. Was fun with that. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to the No Problem uh, stuff. Maybe seeing some videos, um, and so those were the three. Who were the other two? Oh, the guy, Bobby Holman, with the Beast. I think that's going to be cool. He's obviously been in it forever. He's a deserving person in the business, and he's still in it. I saw him in where in the heck were we? I was in Louisville, Kentucky. We went to the Hot Wheels tour show, and he was there doing. I think he was driving the Tiger Shark. Guy's still doing it. I mean, these people have been in this, or they were in it in the 80s and 90s, and some of them are still doing it today. We were talking earlier, Gotti, how people were like, you know, we're talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm, people being like, 60 years old, and that's what
Yeah.
these guys are now. They're 60 and 70 years old. People that I watched in the late 80s, early 90s, they were in their 30s and 40s, and now some of these guys are 70 years old, and um, it's kind of cool that they're getting recognized. This isn't like the NBA or the NFL, or you know what I mean? But it's still cool to be recognized, and they have a hardcore base of fans that come to this Hall of Fame, and there's just a lot of memorabilia and things and people to see when you go and do something like this. And um, we bring our RC stuff, of course. We got a display table. We've done a little race there in the past. This year there's no race, but we're going to have our display, and we might show a couple new things.
Alman's asking how many RCs are you taking with you?
I think Fred's driving. He left the shop today to start driving there. I'm gonna fly there on Friday. I think we have five vehicles we're taking because we could only take my truck this time. Paul's got the van and the trailer at AMS. So we've taken my truck, so we can only fit. I think we got 5 trucks. So, but they're gonna be cool. We have some cool stuff to show. Hopefully, one more will be added to the fray before we get there. Um, so we try to make the most of these events, whether it's 1-to-1 or RC or what. We try to make the most of it.
Yeah. All right. I think I think I've gone through all the questions. Almond keeps throwing some stuff in there that would keep us here later, but we'll touch on that.
Give us a couple. I'll knock out a couple more.
Carrie's gonna kill you.
That's fine.
Nick DeVito. Nick DeVito's asking, are there any new kits you're all excited about? What's out there now? Well, anything X-Ray puts out, I'm excited about.
We've been getting a lot of
Those X-Ray videos, dude, you gotta admit, they're amazing.
oh, they are.
They get you all pumped up, man, for these cars. Like, I'm all jacked up. And I don't even buy them, but I'm like, I watch these videos and I send them to you. I'm like, dude, check this out, man. It's like awesome.
Then I shoot holes and everything.
You know, I love it. Though.
It just depends. New kits. I bought an Element RC, their Night Runner. I bought that at Beachline a couple weeks ago.
So they have a new one out called the Night Runner?
Mm-hmm. It's a scale truck. And I got that. It's pretty neat. Recently ordered the a monster Arrma Creighton truck. Came in a box. I mean, the box was... I gotta take a picture of this box next to like a buggy box just to give you an idea. But I think it's 5th scale. Do they call it 5th scale? Or is it 6th scale? One or the other. That thing's amazing. It's an Arrma Creighton, but it's it's like 5th or 6th scale. Then the other thing we got that was really neat was we got the new Axial SCX6, which is the 6th scale version of their scale rock crawler. It's got a Jeep body on it. That thing is impressive. That we haven't driven it yet, but we've been working on it and playing with it, and it looks better in real life than it does in the photos.
Wow. Can't say the same about me.
I bought something on eBay the other day too, and Almond will like this.
Almond's saying, Gotti, camera light is looking good on you. Background is spot on. Equipment is looking good. Thank you. It's hard to make this look good. I can't imagine. I apologize for you guys that watch us. They get to stare at this face, but thank you, Almond. Appreciate that.
I bought on eBay a new in-box stealth transmission with the cellophane wrap. Is that what they call it? Cellophane wrap?
Yeah.
Or the wrap. It was heat shrink. I mean, yeah, it was actually heat shrink because I ran stuff through there when I was at Associated. But so you'd put the clear heat shrink over the box, and then you'd run it through a thing that would heat it and seal it to the box. But anyway, so to me it was like big heat shrink.
Yeah.
But I got the stealth transmission. I'm super excited about it.
Sealed.
Yeah, sealed, new in the box. Looks
Jason
amazing.
Santos just passed out.
Yeah.
Back in the hospital.
He's like, let me check back in.
Wow.
Yeah,
That must have been
and
something.
I got I'm pretty pumped about that piece. I'm working on some more vintage stuff. I've been working on a few things there. Yeah, but I think those are probably the 3 or 4 kits I've been excited about. Those the one Arrma, the one Axial, the Associated Element. They haven't released any race kit recently.
Yeah, how long
Well,
were we
TLR
on
or
there?
Associated hasn't,
Yeah,
so something's got to be coming soon from one of them.
2022. You got to do something then.
Yeah, you would think.
Hmm.
There's something else I was thinking of, but I can't remember right now as far as kits go. I've been kind of on a vintage kick again lately. I was designing some vintage stuff the other day. I've been talking about it a bunch with my buddy Brad. Kind of on a vintage kick. I kind of like go in peaks and valleys. I'm sure I'll be working on something with Jason. I'm working on something with Scott Foy already. Um, I posted a thing about Jay Halsey's truck today. Him winning the Winter Champs in '92. I'm trying to find that body, the Lambo. Trying to find the Lambo.
Oh wow, that'd be cool, huh? Damn.
Yep. So I'm on a vintage kick.
Yeah, I get in those moods for like gaming. I'll buy old games and stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, you don't really know what spurs it on. Like all of a sudden something happens, and then you're just like, oh, I'm all into this for a little
yeah,
while, and then
absolutely.
and then like for me that's RC cars, but you know, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
the
where I was working on 10 scale racing, where I was working on 8 scale racing, where I was, those are the two mainstays. And then late recently we got something in drag racing in the queue, monster truck in the queue, and vintage in the queue. So we try to feed those segments. Those are our favorite, are the ones that have been good to us. So I give myself a few passion projects every year, which was what I call ones that don't necessarily you do that people would advise you to do, but you do it because you like it. So I
right.
kind of allow myself a couple of those every year. Um, so, and those are fun.
Nick is asking, when is Chris Bing coming back on? I'm gonna say
As
within a
soon as
couple weeks.
possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to match up the schedule, so definitely want to get him on because it's been 25 years,
Whew.
96 Nats. But Chris has agreed to come on. We just gotta match everything up. Allman, he's just quick witted. He's got some funny stuff. Um, he says, "Well, I'm glad you're passionate about your lower volume passion projects." See what he did
Hmm.
there?
Yeah.
Saw one more here, but I don't know where it went. I think that's it. I think we're good. Let's look at the schedule here, Jason. Talk to me about where we're going next.
Well,
And
we just came back from trackside.
right,
You're supposed to give me some crap about getting third, but we'll go to the next race.
yeah, somebody messaged me and said
Um,
you got to give Jason crap about finishing
Super
third. So
Cup Championship Series that happened the same weekend down at SS. So that was down at Setzer's track. They had a good Super Cup down there. Alabama Manufacturers Shootout, that's happening this weekend. That's where, what the heck's going on here? Yeah, so that's what's happening right now. AMS. That's going to be a big one. A little different format, a
oh,
lot of
really?
competition. And then JC Winter Indoor Shootout, that's also going on in the Fast Lane in it's Blue Springs, Missouri is where that is.
Oh, look at that. We got the
Uh,
Monster Truck Hall of Fame in there.
yep. So the International Monster Truck Hall of Fame will be there. And then the weekend after that, the Florida Carpet Championships, which everybody and their brothers coming to that.
Really?
Yeah, we got Europeans, international flair. We got it's stacked. That's going to be a stacked race. Usually the people love watching the most stacked races, but those are usually the ones that are the most pain in the butt. Um, like going to, these races to race as a racer, or like going to Minnesota, like when I went to our race there, just going to the team associated race, having the Masters of Dirt. Those are really cool races because you got a nice mix of people in attendance. But when you load a race with 25 or so pro guys, I don't know if it'd be that many, but like this carpet race is going to be, things get intense. Usually it's kind of like there's like this back and forth thing where it's like the more the more world level the event gets, the fun level goes down.
Oh.
It's weird. Like when the competition is its highest, the fun's kind of down. But when there's this balance of competitiveness and event style, those are usually the most fun events. I didn't explain it very well, but
Good enough.
And we can't get into detail. But what was after that? After the Florida Carpet Champs was
Super Cup
another
Series.
Super Cup back at Coral Springs, and
December
then
3rd through the 4th, and then December 10th through the 12th, we got the team associated Top Gun race.
And honestly, what's going on there, that there's another one that's not mentioned here, but the Fall Brawl in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
The Fall Brawl.
That's a killer race too. Yeah, Hannah made this little map here. I kind of gave her the dates, and she, she wanted to make this little map of where we're all at. She really likes the idea of kind of visually seeing where the events are on the map, and then seeing. And I think it turns out really nice.
I like it.
I
like to use it for my background teller, so tell her to just keep doing them.
Yeah, I think it works out nice. We pretty much got our calendar laid out for 22, so we should start being able to put together a January one. Oof.
Damn. All right. Allman saying, "You gentlemen have a great damn week and then some." And
I saw that photo of you at the Endless Summer Classic, Allman. From what was that? Did you say it was 90 in the 90s, or was that early 2000s? And then this was Endless Summer, and then recently you were having a little comparison photo. I thought that was pretty cool.
Nice. Allman got me a nice wing, RC10 wing, autographed by a lot of legends. Cliff Lett.
Jay Halsey?
I think so. It's in the other room. Allman's saying that was early 2000s.
Okay. I did some of the 90s Endless Summer Classics at M&M. I think I did some of the first ones.
RC Kevin was on that 3-hour drive. He says, "Thanks for keeping me company."
All right, Kevin.
No problem. We're 2:30 in. We're a half hour short though, Kevin.
We'll have to get him in on the show one day, because he does a bunch of podcasting and live streams. And he's totally up to speed.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Oh, that's right. Allman finally met BK at that time, getting that wing signed for me. It was a Top Gun race.
So that would have been
that's
San
awesome.
Diego.
It's awesome. Appreciate that. Well, we're trying to get to 3 hours, Kevin, for you. Kevin's like, "I thought you guys were done." All right, we'll wrap it up. So you're heading out to the Monster Truck Hall of Fame, which,
and
man, that's quick. That's a quick year. Just seems like yesterday you were there. And then you'll be back home.
Yep, then we'll be doing the Florida Carpet Champs next
Yep.
week. That's going to be huge. So I think the thing to stay tuned for this week is you got to check out AMS. That's going to be amazing. Hannah's there, Paul, Lee, Mayfield, Spencer,
Oh, I was gonna ask you if Mayfield
Dakota.
attending.
Everybody's there.
Sweet.
We'll have a
I'll check that
good
out.
coverage there. Fred and I will be at the Monster Truck Hall of Fame doing our thing there, and we have some new products to show or show off. We got Chili Duncan. He's going to be at the race for us doing that, the J Concepts race
Chili.
in Blue Springs, Missouri. There, he's going to be helping us out at that race, doing some coverage. So we got some stuff going on.
Will Britton says he's cutting out a new body for his gas truck. He's heading out to Shaw's in Oklahoma.
He's so hooked on gas trucks right now. He can't think of nothing else. I mean, I think even if another Tiger King came out, he couldn't concentrate on that. He'd be still gas trucking it.
Yeah, which it is season 2.
It is.
Yeah, season 2 coming out. Yeah.
They couldn't resist. It was too successful. But
Yeah.
you know what?
Bring it on.
Was it lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place, or something like that?
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna head out, get some grub, watch some Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay.
What you got to do?
We're done with Billions. Now we're over on watching Goliath.
How many episodes was Billions?
I think it was 5 seasons.
Is this a mafia story?
No, it's about
right, well.
Yeah.
Not interested. Thank you. Nolman says just one more thing. Just kidding. Doing the Columbo thing there.
Columbo.
You do need to watch
Columbo. I know. We'll talk Allison.
At least just watch the one episode that I recommend. I'll have to send you the link again. So, but you definitely know. Just one more thing, Jason. All right, everybody out there racing, good luck this weekend. Jason, have fun at the Hall of Fame.
Thanks. Watch us online. Check out that coverage on Facebook.
Of the Hall of Fame?
We'll have some coverage on there for photos and.
So you're gonna be racing too, like going through the.
No, we'll just have a display and showing some new stuff, and the race coverage will be from the AMS and and then the event Chili's at the J Concepts Indoor Shootout Invitational.
Nice. Okay. All right, that was.
Oh, and just one more thing.
You got me there. Oh, just one more thing. And Almond's reminding everybody to check your transmitter batteries before you get onto the driver's stand.
Okay.
Good point. That has happened to me in the past.
And help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered.
We are out. See you guys.